Welcome, 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 everybody, to episode 12 of Spiritually Kinky. I'm super excited for this episode tonight. Now, truth be told, is we actually already recorded this episode in the recording studio, but there are some operation issues that we need to work out as far as editing, file size, compatibility, all that, all those certain things. And so I didn't want to wait on bringing you this episode because this episode is really, really juicy and it's really, 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 really important. And to me, the conscious creation and the conscious communication is more important than the polished version. So this is why we're doing this tonight. We've got the logo behind us instead of the studio. And so we're working all that out. But I wanted to bring up a couple of things, just reminders first off, before we start this episode, as we always start on the number one premise is that, babe, you're not broken. You're not a wound that needs to be healed. You're not a problem that needs to be solved. You are literally the creative force within. And you are just structured. You've just structured yourself. So tonight we're going to kind of talk about that structure. And the name of the episode is Breaking the Loop: How Innocence and Courage Free You from the Self-Help Trap. And I'll call it a trap, but I don't want to talk about breaking the loop because breaking the loop implies that we have to do something with it. And the truth is that we just need to notice it and be aware of it and choose to step into a new orientation of creation. And it does go against everything that we've been taught. We've been taught how to create in the problem focus from the problem structure. And so it's going to rub right up against your resistance, and that pull to go back into the self-help is strong. But that's why I want to bring this up. And that's why I felt like tonight needed to be said. And it's really not about the facts, it's about the frequency. And I really want to bring you this so you can understand and create that awareness and then still continue to make the shift into the creative force that you are, being guided by your superconscious instead of the unconscious instructions from your past. And I've said over and over again in the show, it's not about saving you, it's about unleashing you. And this is the path that I'm walking. And this is why I went all in on this work, is because these are the keys to the kingdom, babe. These are the keys to the kingdom. And whether you want to acknowledge it or not, you are the creator in your life. It's just that up to this point, you have been unconsciously creating. So I want you to just put your hand over your heart and just feel the frequency of these words and understand that you are the creative force within. There is nothing that you can do, be, have, become, do more of, get less of, to be anything more than or less than you, babe. You are it. You are it. And worth has never been up for debate. But this work isn't about fixing, healing, or becoming somebody new. It's about creating from a place of innocence and courage in your life and on your terms so that you can create whatever it is that you came here to create. And I believe you came here to create something. And I believe if you've come across this channel, if you're listening to these words, if you've ever had that spark of recognition in your heart that you're meant for something more, then this is for you, right? Because here we're stepping into a whole new realm where we get to create from a place not from fixing, but from our pure creative force and understanding that we are the creative force within. And this episode is here to split you open, to crack open the door to the superconscious. And this is where you get to create the juicy, magical flavors of life. No more loops. And we're going to talk about these loops. We're going to talk about these loops. And Chris Duncan does an amazing, amazing, amazing job of identifying some of these loops that we get caught in. And he's even publishing a book that's coming out next year, but I want to just show you the loop, right? So there's different loops that we get caught in, but I want to just make you aware of this loop so that you can understand that it's not something that you need to fix, heal, or solve. It's something that you can just shift into creation, right? Because you get to invent and you get to make up your future, baby. And this is the alchemy of creation. And I promise you, it's unlike anything that you've ever tasted before. So the self-help loop, right? The endless struggle between not it and the ideal self. So we've been living in a loop, bouncing between thinking that we're not it and endlessly striving for some perfect self that is out there, right? That is without the wound, waiting for us to arrive. But here's the spoiler alert. The moment that you think that you've arrived, it's just another illusion. Because the truth is that if you don't allow yourself to have it now, you won't allow yourself to have it then. So the real secret is that it isn't about fixing who you think that you are, but it's about embracing your inherent power to create from nothing. And innocence is the spark that burns away all that fake perfection. Because you were never broken to begin with, babe. You were never broken to begin with. And this is what we teach you, because when you walk in innocence, right? When you choose from a place of innocence, here's the thing is you don't know how it's going to happen. You don't know how it's going to happen. And when you're choosing something that you've never experienced before, and you lose the ability to know how, right? All of your unconscious resistance is going to come up, right? And all of these things actually keep us from like even making a decision and even choosing. But when you can get into a place of innocence, you come from a place of no past, right? You come from a place that you come from a place of no past, and you get to choose from your heart, because this is where it lives. From your heart, you get to choose what it is that you would love to create just because you love it. And you can make it up. You can make it all up, right? This is the juiciest kind of alchemy. It's mixing innocence with the power of your creative force, your conscious choice, your focus, which is your attention and your intention, and you create the path of least resistance, which is flow, and you can do that in a way that's doing it in a way that you love instead of a way that you're trying to fix, avoid, heal. Because babe, you're not broken. You're not broken, baby. You're just a masterpiece that's waiting to be unleashed. So stop chasing perfection and start creating from the divine mess that you are. This is what I tell my clients. Start with where you are with what you have. Because here's some things about creation. Creation is messy. Creation is magical. And creation doesn't happen in a straight line. And you don't need to know the how of what you're trying to create, because if you're wanting to create something big and something that you love, again, you're not going to know how. You're going to look at it and be like, I don't know how it's going to happen, but you don't need to know how. You just need to know the next step, right? And the way opens up. Step out on the way and the way opens up. That's one of my favorite quotes by Rumi. And it's actually your mess that turns into magic. But most of us are stuck in this battle between the unconscious and the self-conscious desires, because here's how we've created these structures. And in Spiritually Kinky, We work on the premises of the three consciousness, our self-conscious, which is our ego, rooted in judgment, speaks in the language of thoughts, our unconscious, which speaks in the language of emotions, which is our decider, right? They decide, allows or denies us to have it, our unconscious does. And it's running 95, 98% of the show on automatic from safety survival instructions. And then we've got our superconscious, which is insight, information, intuition, unconditional. Now, here's what you need to understand about the self-help loop and these loops that we get caught up in, because for the last 40, 60 years, maybe a little bit more, we've really created this self-help personal development purgatory where we've reinforced the idea that if we do something, be something, improve something, have something, then, right, then we can have what we want. And all it does is just reinforce the identity of not being it, not being enough, not being capable, not being perfect, not belonging, not being worthy, not being significant. It just reinforces the not it identity. And that's why so many people are stuck, right? That's the self-help loop. But the loops that we get caught up in, these unconscious loops, is because our unconscious and our self-conscious have competing agendas. They've got competing strategies. And so our self-conscious wants a good life and our unconscious wants a safe life. Our self-conscious wants to change, but our unconscious wants to stay the same, right? So we're constantly going back and forth between these competing agendas and the idea that we're not enough, the wound, never allowing ourselves to fully live in the wound, but we're creating an ideal self that's without the wound, but we'll never allow ourselves to be in the ideal self either, right? Because that would mean the identity would have to die. But I'm telling you, the identity doesn't need to die. It just needs to be redesigned. But here's the thing is, so the key is not to fix, because what happens is that we notice these unconscious loops and we want to fix it. We want to take the action to fix the loop, right? But the key is to notice the loop and to decide and to choose what it is that you want to create. Right? Okay, so the loop is there. So I'm the creator in my life. I'm the primary creator in my life. What would I like to create? So it's about noticing it, but not trying to fix it. And oh, this pull is so strong. This pull is so strong. And when the unconscious and self-conscious are in competition with each other, right? You feel like you're stuck in this tug of war of self-doubt battle. But the truth is that you don't need to pick sides. Right? This is where it's time to step into the superconscious. And this is where both your unconscious and your self-conscious can serve your highest creative desires. And this is why Recode is so freaking powerful. And if you haven't gotten a session with me with a Recode, definitely sign up for one, because the truth is that you're not broken. You haven't gotten the results that you wanted, not because you're missing something or you need to do better or more or whatever. It's that you've been creating in the wrong structure. And so having a coach like me can hold you to that highest structure, get you connected to your highest self, and get you clarity on choosing from a conscious choice. And then as this unconscious resistance comes up, because the moment that you make the shift from being the oldest version of your past self into the youngest version of your future self, that unconscious resistance comes up. And that unconscious resistance comes up and it's trying to tell you to stop going the way that you're going, because you're starting to bump up against your limits, right? You're starting to bump up against those unconscious safe points. But you can, with Recode, and Recode is one of the simplest, easiest, most pleasurable, playful, and also sometimes just really wrecking processes that I have had the pleasure of experiencing that teaches your brain that it's okay to let go of the past. Because coming from innocence is coming from a place of no past. And as adults, right, we're not really taught how to create an awe. We're not really taught how to like, create and wonder. And it's kind of drilled out of us, right? It's kind of drilled out of us. So this is a practice of embodiment. If you want to choose to have a magical future that looks different than your past, this work is for you, right? Because this is going to unleash you from being in that tug of war, and it changes the internal experience. It changes the internal experience. And when you start to change the internal experience and you start to choose from a true place of love, and we start with the 4 core choices. I choose to create the end result of living a life I love. I choose to create the end result of health and vitality. I choose to create the end result of living my true nature and purpose. And I choose to create the end result of being the primary creator in my life, not the only creator in my life, and I allow all others to do the same. Right? So it's giving you that focus from a true choice, from a true place. Because these are the choices that if you were to create these choices, you would have every emotional experience that you would want. And living your true nature and purpose would be living as the creator, and then um that's your true nature, and then your purpose is how do you want to share that with the world, right? How do you want to be of service to the world with your purpose, with your gifts, with your, with your voice? That's why I teach you how to find your vision, your value, and your voice, because this is the truth, is that you're a creator and your true nature is to serve, and your purpose is to decide and to choose how you want to serve the world, right? How you want to serve the world with what you have. So here's the thing about this battle, is the battle isn't between who you are and who you want to be. The battle is made up. The battle doesn't exist. You made it all up, babe. You made it all up. All of these things, all of these parts, all of these structures, they were created for you, by you, out of love. And the truth is that you can recode your unconscious instructions. You can choose to be the creator in your life, and you can decide what it is that you want to create from what it is that you love. And you can let that lead your life. And the truth is, when we do that, we step into our highest alignment of our true selves, because we are the creative force within. We are the creative force within. And it starts with an internal shift with us. And then we can decide in our family structures, what do we choose to create? And then guess what? On a society level, we can decide what it is that we want to create. So there is power, power when we come from innocence, making a true choice, and then connecting to our superconscious. Because when we connect to our superconscious and when we're instructed by our superconscious, our higher mind, this is where the magic happens. And this is where we get to claim it. Because there's power of a true choice. Because as human beings, we really making choices. We really do. But when we can make it from a choice, we make that shift from fixing to creating. Because if I just choose to create what I love, the problem doesn't exist. If I'm choosing to create something because I'm trying to avoid, to get rid of, to fix a certain thing, that certain thing always has to exist. So that's how society has taught us to be problem focused, but we're coming from the problem orientation from our wounds of not it, and that's just not true. It's an unresolvable problem. That's why it causes oscillation. So we need to step into our creative power, and it's a practice. You weren't taught how to hold your power. You weren't taught that you were energy. You weren't taught that you could actually like embody this energy, and you weren't taught how to create with it. So when you start, you're not going to be very good at it. But it's a practice. It is a practice, and consistency is key. And so this is where when you do step into your creative power and you own that I am the primary creator in my life, if there's something in my life I want to change, right? I can shift it. You don't complain, you create. It becomes no longer about fixing or healing. It's about creating what you want, creating the flavor of life that you want from who you truly are. No apologies, no waiting. And the beauty of creation lies in the alchemy of the superconscious, where we get to create from this place that where we invent it all. The flavors, the feelings, the future. It's pure magic, baby, and it's so juicy. And let me just tell you, when I started, I wasn't very good at this either. I couldn't really feel a whole lot. I couldn't really see a whole lot. I couldn't really imagine a whole lot. And everything pretty much looked like different shades of gray, and not the good kind. Not the 50 shades of gray. Like it just, I was kind of numb, and I it wasn't good at it, right? But I had to practice, and I had to practice, and I had to practice. And so every morning, this is my morning ritual. This is where I start all of my clients out on the morning ritual. This is also the one thing that they resist doing the most. And they come to me and they're like, why isn't it working? And I'm like, are you doing your morning ritual? And they're like, no. And I'm like, go to your morning ritual, start there. Because the truth is that you are creative force energy, babe. And when you spend time with that and you get into this new alignment of creating the desired result that you want, creating that end result feeling, and you embody it and you can step into it, you can send yourself instructions back on what's the next step to take. And this is where we literally can go. This is the highest form of spiritual work. This is where you go into the invisible field, you invent it, you hold it with your mind, you taste it, you feel it, you experience it, and you bring it into this world. This is creation, baby. This is creation, and it's juicy. It is juicy. And but we have to get into innocence. And getting into innocence is a practice. It's a practice. Coming from a place of no past is a practice, because the last thing our unconscious wants to do is let go of our past. So we always start with getting you in a place of innocence, which allows you to wipe the slate clean and start fresh, right? No strings attached, because baby, the past is over. I know you want to hang on to it, but the past is over. It's gone. And if you have the courage is the fire that fuels the creation, because you have to have courage to be willing to let go of the past. You have to have courage to just step out onto the next step and to not know. You have to have courage. And you're not going to know how it's going to unfold. If I could tell you all of the crazy little things that happen to bring spiritually kinky into the world, I couldn't have made it up. Like I just it was nothing that I had imagined, but when it came in, it was like boom, 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 boom. And it was just all these little pieces that just and came together. It was amazing. So you don't need to know how, but your self-conscious wants to know how. So you're going to get caught up. You're going to get caught up. You're going to fall back into the loops. And it's a re-remembering process, especially in the beginning. But this is why it's so important to get a coach. It's so important to get a coach. It's so important to get a guide, because your resistance is going to come up, baby. And in the beginning, it is so strong. Oh, the pull is so strong. And when you get a coach, we're going to hold you to your highest mind. We're going to hold you to the only label that matters, which is creator. And we're going to hold you in the true essence of who you really are, so that you can create relevant clarity and consciousness towards the life that you want to create, towards creating a life you love, towards creating your health and vitality, towards living your true nature and purpose, towards being the primary creator in your life. So you got to give up the how, and you're going to forget the shoulds and the have tos and the control, because when you come from innocence, all of that is gone. you don't have to try. You don't have to fix, you don't have to heal. You just get to choose what you want to create and give yourself fucking permission to do it. That's why we talk about permission. If you haven't listened to the first 11 episodes, own your permission, right? Give yourself permission to create the life that you love, because it's time to play in the alchemy of creation and invent your future. And here's the thing, the only rule, there are no rules. First rule of Fight Club. Just kidding. So the resistance. So anything that comes up that causes you to not take action towards what you want to create is what we label as resistance. And again, why the past keeps calling you back is because the moment that you step into the superconscious and start creating, all the resistance is going to show up, because your mind is going to scream, oh, you can't, you don't know how. You don't know how. And the truth is that the resistance are just the parts that are out of alignment with what you're trying to create. And just like in Spiritually Kinky, creating the path to being fully seen, deeply felt, and wildly free, all parts want to be seen. All parts want to be seen. And what you need to understand is that the resistance is just an echo of the past. So trying to pull you back into the loop of fixing, of healing. But remember, the resistance is just part of it. The resistance is going to come up. And it's a sign that you're doing something right. And when you create in the creative structure, you can get yourself into a new alignment, into a structure where the tension resolves itself in the favor of what you were trying to create. And when the resistance comes up, you can acknowledge the parts and acknowledge the old instructions, let them go, and give your parts new updated instructions that'll work in the way of what you're trying to create, lowering the level of resistance. So all you do is take action. So resistance actually can be really sexy because it's the fire that tempers your creative force, and it's a dance to move through it and to watch the magic unfold. Because if you're waiting for a time where there is no resistance, you're not going the right way. You're just stuck in the past on autopilot. So let's stop labeling resistance as something that you have to break or to fix or to heal or to solve or to figure out. And just look at it as a natural part of something that comes up, and you're going to learn how to embrace it, how to dance with it. Because what you'll begin to understand is that all of these parts that are out of alignment, that you're scared of, that you've been running from, that you're afraid to look at, that you're trying to avoid, all parts were created for you, by you, out of love, to keep you safe and alive. And all parts just want to be seen and acknowledged and thanked, honestly. And we can thank these parts for keeping us safe and keeping us alive, and we created them. There's nothing to fight with. We created them. All of the mental monsters, the shadow work, they're not shadows. They're just aspects that we created to keep us alive and surviving and belonging to our family. And let me just tell you, we can give them a promotion. We can update their instructions. Now, this creation process, yeah, it's super fun. It's pleasurable. It's playful. It's imaginative. It's fucking juicy. But it's also scary. And it can feel wobbly. And you can completely question your sanity, and that's okay. That is okay. It's part of the process. But this is why it's so important to have somebody that holds you to your higher mind, to refocus in choice, right? To refocus in your true choice and what you're trying to create, and taking the action from that intention, the intention that you are the creative force in your life, the intention that you are already it, the intention that you are the creator and you get to choose what you want to create in this life, because intention matters. Intention matters. So the power of now and stepping into this creative force. So let me just remind you, babe, creation happens now. No more waiting, no more wishing you were someone else. You were the creative force within, and the past is over. The past is behind you. And if you need some help letting go of the past, babe, I can help you. We can do it in a fun, playful, and snuggly way. That you don't have to spend the rest of your life on a healing journey that never ends. You don't have to spend the rest of your life battling this inner conflict of doubt and of being enough and not being enough. You don't have to do that. You can choose to create what it is that you want to create, but you have to take the action. And when you step into this innocence and courage, right, you're stepping into your true power. And the superconscious is where all of your dreams come alive. It's where you get to invent your future from scratch and you get to embody it now. You get to feel it now. You get to be it now. I never understood that. And it really used to piss me off when in the personal development world, they'd be like, you have to be it to see it. I'm like, what the hell does that mean? How do I be it if I've never seen it? And that those were so like, that was just a big part that came up for me. But the truth is that you have to give yourself permission to create it, to invent it, to make it up. And most people aren't. Most people aren't. And truthfully, the only thing that's standing between you and your dreams is your willingness to choose and to take action. That's it. That's it. And that's the creative structure, babe. That's how you get flowing results. That's how you get different results than your past. That's why this is the key to your kingdom. So, listen, if you're ready to taste what it's like to create from your superconscious, to step into the juiciest, most magnetic version of yourself, then I want to invite you to the Spiritually Kinky Academy, because this is not more of the same personal development BS that keeps you stuck in the loop. None of that at all. This is not healing work. This is about conscious creation. And this is where we're diving into creative development, where we're not chasing our dreams, we're creating them and stepping into them. And if you're still on the fence, you can grab my book and you can grab the VIP offer appetizer. But here's the thing that I promise you is that once the spark is lit, your heart, it's not going to let you go back to sleep. It's not going to let you go back to sleep. And if you're listening to this, if you came across this channel, I am speaking directly to you. And this is your wake up call. So tell me, what would you just love to create? Because this is your moment. So let's go. All right, you guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I enjoyed bringing it to you, because each and every single person that has your eyes and ears on this is part of me creating a life that I love. Spiritually Kinky is just this beautiful creation that I can't wait to keep unfolding. And I'm so excited to be on this journey with you. So let me know what you liked about this episode. If you guys haven't checked it out yet, you can definitely check out the book, check out the VIP offer. And if you go to spirituallykinky.com, you can actually see where all the goodies are. So I love you guys very much. And remember, your unconscious may be strong, but your heart is stronger. Mwah.